Alrighty, gonna do this again, another Throwback Thursday video. This one, I'm gonna try hard not to get emotional, but it involves my parents who've been gone for a while, and people that tell you time and distance makes things better, they can pucker up and kiss my ass, because it hasn't happened yet. If that's part of the process, I'm probably not far enough into it yet. But anyway, it's a good story, hopefully a good story. If you missed last week, if you were one of the 12 people who watched the International Instant video last week, I'll link to it down in the comments. Is this what everybody does? Points to the comments. I'm doing these videos, God, I hope I can be consistent with it, mainly for my kids, but also for people who are in my circle that want to know these things. Anybody's obviously welcome to watch them, but again, the 13 people that did last time, thank you very much. Anyway, life's short. If I'm average, if I'm normal, I've got 20 something years left, and dude, that'll be over. I can't snap my fingers, but that's if I'm average. Could also push the pause button, and that could be it right there too. But anyway, this one is about parental praise. The first time I remember as an adult getting praise from my dad. Growing up as a kid, I think we all grew up as a kid. I was born at a very early age. But when we're little, when we're the little papooses, mommy, I pooped in the potty. I buttoned my shirt. I learned to tie my shoes. Your parents are proud of you. You seek that praise. You seek that. God, it's early in the morning. I can't think of the word right now. But anyway, you learn. I think we learn socialization and what's good and bad from that praise we get from our parents. If you tell your mom when you're little, I pooped in the potty, you get a much better response than, hey, I pooped in the bathtub. And so you learn which one's the good one to use. In my case, it was the closet, because I'd sleepwalk, open the closet door, pee right there, close the closet door, go back to bed, and then a couple days later, my mom would go for a towel that smelled really bad. But anyway, so as we're little, sorry about that. I don't have a tissue in here. As we're little, that's the thing that we go for, I think, a lot as a praise. The teacher said I was doing good in school today. I shared my ice cream with my sister, my brother, my friend, whatever. That's part of our growth process. And I guess validation might have been the word I was looking for earlier, but I can't remember what that was for. And then as we progress and we get into our teenage years, things change a bit. We're getting more of that from our peers, from people outside our close circle, teachers, things like that. And it goes from there. I moved out really, really early. I was like 16, I think. And so I had a couple years estranged, I guess, from my parents. But we still kept in touch on stuff. Sorry. And I still got, they'd still show up for football games and band concerts and chess club tournaments. I'm still all over the place, but I was really all over the place back then too. But, hey, nice tackle, nice catch, nice interception, good fumble, moron, that kind of stuff. My dad actually coached us one year. He stepped in. The main coach, I guess, had a TDY or something. So my dad did that. And I think I wrote about that once before, but I can also do a video for as well. But anyway, so those that know me know I grew up in Japan. I used to say I spent half my life there, but I've kind of exceeded those expectations. So it was not half my life. It was about 20-something years now. I worked primarily on base for a while, but then I also had worked off base a lot, and sometimes that kind of intermingled. Sometimes it was more off base than on. It just kind of depended on what I was doing. But I always had a lot of irons in the fire. I always had different things going. So anyway, this is New Year's when it happened, so it probably would have been better last video. But this happened New Year's. My mom and dad were going to go to the Sano hotel down in Tokyo and do their thing, and I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I think I was heading to NHK, meeting friends. I honestly don't remember what I was going to do that evening, but since we had extra time, I wanted to take my mom and dad to meet a good friend of mine who was the manager of the Hard Rock then. There's two now. There was only one at that time. The one I'm talking about is the one that was closest to Roppongi Crossing. Back then, I worked for Udo, who's a concert promoter in Japan. I worked with the bands coming over. And when you would go out after shows, there was the Hard Rock, there was Lexington Queen, Kings and Queens, and I think Lollipop. Lollipop was a cool oldies bar. There was always a 50s and 60s band playing in there. Kings and Queens, Lexington Queen was more like a disco, a dance club. And then everybody knows what the Hard Rock is, or at least you should. Back then, early, late 80s, I guess just the 80s altogether, that was like the place to be. So anyway, we get there, and the line is just all the way down. I mean, it's like a quarter mile to the highway where Roppongi Crossing is at, and it was just insane. And I didn't even think about that because, So anyway, my mom and dad are waiting at the ass end of the line, and I'm like, hey, just hang on a sec. I'm going to go get my friend. I'll introduce you guys, and then we'll go do whatever it was we're going to do. Well, I go to get my friend, and he's like, oh, your parents are here. We gotta get them in. And he's the manager, so he can do that. So we walk all the way back to the end of the line, and, little Aisatsu greeting with my parents, and then we start walking towards the front. And as we're passing, everybody's like, who's that? Who's that? Why are they going? And but there's some comments like, oh, yeah, I've seen him with so-and-so, and things like that. So it was kind of cool. I mean, I was kind of puffing my chest out a little bit, but we get in there, and the old Hard Rock, I haven't been there forever, for 20-something years, so it might have changed. Back then, it was kind of small, kind of tight and compact, and then the VIP section, well, it was VIP when VIPs were there, but there was a section on the second floor, I don't remember how many tables, but it was pretty small, and so he takes us all the way, that quarter-mile line, takes us in there, takes us upstairs, and there's all these, musicians and rock stars up there. I mean, I honestly don't remember who it was, but it was like Mike from White Lion. There could have been somebody there from Rat, from Motley, Bon Jovi. I mean, it was the 80s bands, mostly Sunset Strip type bands, Rat, Quiet Riot, things like that, but it was a group of people from those bands. It wasn't all of them. It wasn't all four members of Motley, but somebody was there from the different groups. And as soon as we got up there, they looked over and they saw me, and they just like faces lit up and started coming up, and I introduced my parents and like, oh my God, you're Dave's dad. Last time my flight was delayed, he called my kid and said that your dad's fine. He's just running late. He'll call you when he gets here. The baggage was lost. He found the baggage. We didn't like our hotel. He changed our hotel. They were just heaping praise on me left and right, which was cool. And I think my head was probably getting bigger than the Tokyo Dome. But, they were just unloading on my parents about how great and how wonderful I was at doing what I did. And I was just kind of lost. I thought it was cool enough that, the manager got us in. But then all these, quote unquote famous people heaping praise on me to my parents, which was freaking awesome. So anyway, we all hung out there for a while, talked, ate, drank, laughed. Maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, I had to leave and go do my thing. So I took my parents to the station, took them to the Sano Hotel, and then I went off and did whatever I was going to do. Probably about, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, I was going from Yokota Air Base to Hardy Barracks. We would take helicopters to do that. my dad was a pilot. He stopped being a full-time pilot, and I think at that time, I don't remember, he was OSIA or something, but to keep his flight pay, he had to keep current, so he would still fly every once in a while. I couldn't like call and request him or anything. That would have been fun. But anyway, so I get there, I've got my stuff, and we're all getting loaded in, and, you know, we got our headsets on, all that stuff. And the first thing he said after we got clearance and took off and got up to altitude, he was like, "Hey, you're 23 and I can't believe I'm still giving you rides." 24, 25, whatever it was. And somebody else, I don't know who it could have been, but General Major, Lieutenant Colonel, whatever, was like, "Well, he's your son?" And he's like, yeah. And they started trading stories back and forth about their kids. And then he's like, "Oh, and you wouldn't believe it, man, this last New Year's." And he told the whole story, the entire story. And he got a golf game set up with somebody. He played golf with one of those guys, and I don't know who it was. But he made a couple contacts, I guess. And, you know, and he was telling it. And then he looked back at me and he said, "I'm proud of you." And, you know, that was that. Maybe anticlimactic ending there, but that was the first time as an adult I remember him telling me directly he was proud of me, and I guess he kind of bragged to me to some other people too. But anyway, I made it through that. I thought I was going to get emotional. I didn't, and I'm happy, and my head itches, and I've got morning hair. But anyway, that was the first time I remember as an adult, my parents, my dad specifically at that time, being proud of me. If you'd like to share yours, please do. I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments. I'm looking at my crotch right now, but I guess on Facebook, that would be me looking down at the comments. I love you guys. Take care. It's almost Friday. Hang in there.